I'm a very much a yeah, like I know for me my special interest I always refer to as storytelling in any
Mm.
format. So my favorite music is hip hop or folk because there's a lot of storytelling elements to it. I love books, I love movies, any even like internet content. Yeah, all that sort of pop, like I used to go, it's pop culture, it's movies. No, it's storytelling. So what you guys do is very much up my alley.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm just so blessed that I get to, from week to week, get to do storytelling on mic with the other show and then get to analyze it over here. Yeah, it's pretty great. Gosh, books, movies, the whole thing. Let's talk about it. Here comes the intro. You're listening to The Great and Secret Knowledge, a speculative fiction podcast. I'm your host, Jeff, and with me for the first time, the indescribable. My brain broke there for a second. Jessie Rye. How are you, Jessie? Say hi.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited.
Tell the people if they haven't heard of you yet. It's possible. How would someone know you? What's something you're into? Like, where might they have run into you? I don't know. Help me out here.
Probably the main. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I've had a couple of experiences. I'm very well known for being a trivia queen, so I've had experiences being on Mastermind and Hard Quiz, and people mostly would know me from my social media, where I do tend to engage with online communities a lot with different usually TV shows or movies. And the comedy scene and the hip hop scene here in Melbourne, Australia, those are big parts of my world.
Ooh, that's awesome. Well, let's we are here for a very specific purpose, and that is to critique and or celebrate, hopefully both, Robot Revolution, or is it the Robot Revolution?
I think it's the robot revolution.
Do you go the or the in this situation?
Whatever comes out of my mouth, I've got a
Yeah.
weird mix of different Australian accents because of where I grew up and then
Mm.
where I live. So there's some words I say certainly a lot more Australian, and there are some words that come out what people think is more British.
Ever since starting to listen to a lot of Australian and British shows, like I started analyzing my own speech patterns and trying to figure out what things are Pacific Northwest. Cause like I feel like my accent's invisible. People don't talk about it a lot, but I'm sure there's indicators. Anyway, that's been on my mind lately.
I totally understand. Being from Adelaide, we pronounce words like chance and dance with that softer A. Whereas where I live, it's all dance, chance, which has that's where I get called out. Answer is a big one. I always say answer instead of
Mm.
answer. So people wouldn't think people think there's one Australian accent. There's some really subtle differences, and I think that changed across. And then British. There's that many different accents.
How would you describe Crocodile Dundee's accent? Is that a specific place?
It's considered broad. more common in like a regional area. Whereas if you places like Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, like the city hubs that we kind of have in Australia, that you get less of that. That's a very regional, broad accent.
Hmm. There is a sort of country version of the Northwest that sounds more like the South, but it's like, we're still up here, we can't be too
Yeah.
southern.
There are some really interesting ones across like the United States, like the further, particularly as you're getting up closer into Canada, it sounds
Oh
more
yeah.
like it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh yeah, we're up here in Minnesota.
And we find that down here as well. Like Queenslanders, I think, have a very nasal accent, particularly regional. And the further north you go, the stronger that gets as well. So it's very. Whereas Adelaide had a lot of British migration rather than being convict settled, and that massively influenced the accent.
Ah, interesting. Well, this is fascinating, but that's not what we're here to
Yeah,
talk about. We're here to talk
language
about
chat.
Doctor Who, WhoDis, Season 2, Episode 1, The Robot Revolution. Okay, before we get into that, though, tell me your speculative fiction journey. How'd you start? What were some of your faves? Where are you at now?
For me, I've always found an interest wherever that like storytelling is my jam. So whether those stories are based on the future, whether they're based on the past, and then tying those two together. I guess it's the anthropological nature of it, understanding the human existence. And so some of my favorite things are like my all-time favorite film is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Closely followed by Everything Everywhere All at Once is a more modern.
Okay, you warned me about the train before we started. That was pretty awesome, but it was so short.
The Train.
It sounded like a car skidding around a track.
I am right next to the train line. Literally, it's a few meters away from where I'm sitting right now. So
Incredible. It's like 7.
you get very used to it very quickly. My one of my dear friends always jokes around that it reminds her of like Broad City, where they're living in the further out areas of New York, and that like the train going past has that, I guess, inner city vibe. I'm, yeah, certainly in the inner suburbs of Melbourne, so you get a lot more people jammed in to a smaller space, which also means you've got to live up against a train line.
Mm.
Is it too loud though?
Oh, no. It was just funny. Like, I can't remember exactly what you were saying, though. You were talking about storytelling, Broad City, anthropology, Eternal Sunshine. Okay, so talk about Eternal Sunshine. What is it that spoke to you so much?
The character of Clementine. I've often fit into that manic pixie dream girl trope. I know that the people can't hear this, but I have bright blue hair. And I found her to be such an inspiration because of the way they subverted that trope with that character compared to the more stereotypical ones like your 500 Days of Summer, a Ruby Sparks, that sort of thing. Clementine railed against that trope, and I find that just massively inspirational. It's comforting for me watching their relationship break down in reverse. I love nonlinear storytelling as well. That's a favorite of
Mm.
mine. So the way you kind of open and you don't know what's going on, who's just in his car crying, and then you're basically going back through their relationship but in reverse. And that sort of storytelling is my favorite. I love it where you've got to kind of figure it out yourself. Some more, I guess, mainstream films will hit you over the head with the plot so much that you don't feel like you're figuring anything out on your own. Whereas being able to watch it again and again and again and discover new things, that's the best. That's the best kind of content for me, is stuff I can go back over and enjoy in different ways at different points in my life. That film's been out, 21 years?
Wow.
I've watched it in a variety of different times in my life where I've been able to take something new from it. And that's the most valuable thing for me.
It is really cool to rewatch things. Like, I didn't even get into The Wizard of Oz until the last few years, but then I was on a podcast with my girlfriend and co-host Casey. We went on to Any Album You Like by Ben Mooney, and what you do is play The Wizard of Oz synced up with an album you like. And we did Lady Gaga's Joanne, and it was so fun. And so anyway, then I listened to all his episodes, so I ended up watching the damn thing like 16 times, and now it's my favorite movie.
I can understand that. I can understand. But also, Lady Gaga, amazing. Joanne is my favorite album. That's the album that got me into Gaga.
Oh, wow.
After watching A Star Is Born, because I watched A Star Is Born because I love Judy Garland and her version of that and the story behind it. So I was like, Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born, I'm here for this. And that's when I really fell in love with her. I just bought tickets to her Australian tour this week. So.
What? Oh my God. It's full of synchronicities today.
I love it.
So if you like nonlinear storytelling, have you seen Westworld Season 2?
Yes. It lost me a little bit.
I love it. I feel like it's so rewatchable. It's, I mean, assuming you like the characters and like the dialogue and whatnot. But for me, it was like, oh, I remember that character. We haven't seen them in a while. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know which timeline we're in. This is interesting.
I love that sort of stuff. I will definitely need to go back and give that another red hot crack. I remember loving season 1 and it kind of dropped off, but then could have just been timing in my life. I think that came out right around the time I went backpacking, and all my shows, I backpacked through Europe for a year, and all my shows kind of went on hold. It took me years to come back to The Walking Dead, for example, because I stopped watching when I was traveling and didn't pick it back up again for a few years until after I got back. I only finished it a couple of years ago.
Are you glad that you finished it?
Yes, I found the ending quite underwhelming and disappointing. And I felt like we didn't get enough of an ending. I've been told to watch some of the, the Tales from the Walking Dead extensions, but haven't gotten around. I've watched a little bit of the Daryl Dixon one, but that's it.
I feel, I don't know why, but like I got a couple box sets, and like the extra materials, like the show that didn't get picked up for a second season or whatever, it all just feels so sad. It's like I can't let go of my old friends. I have to see them riding a bike or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever the thing is.
I get that. There was a strong connection with it, particularly the characters that lasted through from the very beginning. They're like, because there was a point where they were killing everyone off at every turn, you just didn't know. But also, I was aware of a lot of it from reading the comic books as well. So it has.
Ah, yes, I do remember reading the first couple at a friend's house and thinking like, I really like this art style. I'm not sure if I could like read the book. It's kind of bleak, but I guess it's zombie fiction, it's bound to have some bleakness to it. But like The Road, not really my favorite. If I'm going to speculate about the future, I want it to be more fun.
Not a Black Mirror fan then?
I cannot get through Black Mirror. I made like one season.
It is very depressing.
Talk about a fun show. Doctor Who, when it's when it's fun. Every once in a while they do a real bummer one, and then you're like, what do I think of this?
But how do you define the bummer one?
What's the one where Tegan leaves after?
Oh gosh, my recall on the classic episodes, I will admit, is not as good as it is for New Who. I've watched them all, but some of them I watched when I was very young, very, very young.
It's this just really terribly sad Dalek one where everybody dies and Tegan leaves at the end because she can't take it anymore. And, it's funny mentioning that. That is almost like the reverse of Belinda's journey. Here she comes in on this horribly traumatic, deadly situation and wants to leave right away.
Well, that connection, the Tegan and Belinda connection, I found identified almost immediately because Tegan spends her whole time in the TARDIS demanding to getting back to Heathrow, right?
Yeah, she's got a friggin' job.
Yep. And I think we're going to see that with Belinda moving forward. I think that's going to be the arc for the season. I mean, it seems pretty obvious they are, but you can draw connections with Belinda with quite a few characters. Like for me, it's the Martha connection.
Oh my God, I love Martha. Oh shit.
So underrated.
Okay, I want to put a pin in predictions because I can't help but think about where where Belinda's gonna go. And yeah, drawing comparisons to previous companions is a good way to kind of tease out what you think you might want to see, or because they're definitely drawing from some previous tropes. So I definitely want to get into that. Before we do that, tell the folks about your Doctor Who history, because you have a long legacy, when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I was, I couldn't even tell you what age, under 7. I know because we moved house when I was 7, and my first memories of watching Doctor Who were in the first house I grew up in. My parents, so here in Australia, we've got the national broadcaster, the ABC, and they would play, so they have an affiliation with the BBC, and they would swap, we'd get a lot of British content on the ABC. And so Doctor Who was aired, instead of being weekly, so we would always get it a few years later. So instead of being weekly, it was aired daily at 6:30 on the ABC, and I would sit down and watch with my parents. A lot of it blurs together. I was so young, it took me years to realize that John Pertwee and Tom Baker weren't the same person.
Listener, if you haven't watched the classic series, that is a shocking statement. The two guys could not be more different. I mean, I guess they're both kind of tall, but that's about it.
Big round eyes, I guess, curly-ish hair, but John Pertwee so I had a vinyl record of children's songs being performed, and John Pertwee was one of the voices on that album that I'd had since before I could remember. And then also I'm a big fan of the BBC series The Chronicles of Narnia, where Tom Baker played Marshwiggle Puddleglum. And for some reason in my head, this voice, because he was a voice on the vinyl, kind of merged in with Tom Baker, but I think I didn't quite understand the concept of regeneration at that point.
I mean, how could you? It's a bizarre and ridiculous idea.
Genius, though. It's the reason we've had Doctor Who for 60 years.
Do you remember the first episode you saw with a regeneration?
Ooh. Not obviously not because it would have been the first one I would have seen would have been Pertwee to Baker. And I don't know whether I quite understood what was going on. So it was, and because as much of it was, sitting down, I'm an only child, sitting down with my parents, it was one of the very few things we did as a family unit. But it was Doctor Who, and we'd go to watch the football. Those were the things. And so it was for me as much about sitting down and spending time with my parents, the three of us together. And I that's why I think I've got such a comfort and connection with Doctor Who. And then it started airing again from the start in the mid 90s, 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. And so I got to start from scratch with Bill Hartnell, which I was definitely before my time. But it was amazing to then go back and go, this is still great content. This is still awesome storytelling.
Did they air it all in order?
Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. every night, Doctor Who. And that a fun fact is they actually, that's the reason we still have and have been able to recover some of the lost episodes, because the BBC used to just tape over everything. Whereas Australia, because they were repeating in Australia, it's the repeats in Australia that kept some of the old lost episodes in existence, so they were able to be recovered.
If people listening to this have not watched classic Doctor Who or read about it, that's another thing that's so ridiculous that nobody could understand. The idea that, I mean, I guess if you like archive British shows, you would, but most folks in America, at least, would be like lost episodes. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. They would. There's a whole bunch of Monty Python that got lost. There's a whole bunch of legend.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now you're hitting me where we live.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, I think most of it's been recovered now, but there were, through that same process, but there were definitely like episodes of Flying Circus that got just, because that's what they would do. They'd go, well, we've aired that now. Right, tape over it, and we'll... It's a bizarre
Were the commercial stations doing that, or was it just the BBC?
I mean, TV in the UK is really different, but I think even back then there may have only been the BBC.
Oh, like they hadn't even got ITV yet.
Yeah, we only had 4 channels here in Australia when I was a kid. It seems like a weird concept now, but that was it. You had your 4 channels. If you lived regionally, you maybe only had 2, and the one that everybody could access nationwide was the ABC.
Yeah, we had 3, and then like a local channel, and then there was the public access / weird channel that you could get if you used UHF, and I think that was regional. But I remember getting cable. I was like, holy shit. I remember we met a cousin in Virginia, and they had HBO, and I was like, this is some sci-fi shit. Like cable, or maybe it was even satellite, I don't know. And then we went home, and years later we got it, and I was like, oh my God, I can watch the Disney Channel all day, every day. Like, I can watch Comedy Central morning, noon, and night. It was called Ha back then, but anywho, TV. Gosh, I could wax philosophic about television, but we're here to do business.
Right. Let's get on with it.
I think that's the longest sentence I've ever said. I feel like it went on for 2 minutes.
I was so tempted to quote from Doctor Who, then it did get away from me a bit there.
Well, okay. That's really great. Doctor Who, did you have a first Doctor that you thought of as like, that's my guy, or like the one that was airing when you were watching? It's
that John Pertwee, Tom Baker amalgam. I can't separate them in my love for them on a nostalgic level, but I think I've revised opinions on who I think the greatest Doctor is, and it's inarguable. It's David Tennant, and he's the definitive Doctor. They brought him back for a reason. He lived it and loved it. And he's such a big fan of the show himself.
He's the 10th Doctor. He's also, weirdly, the 14th Doctor. Folks, if you haven't watched Doctor Who, what are you even doing with your life? Maybe this is your first episode. I don't know why that would be, but I think it's awesome that you're giving it a try. go back and watch at least Disney's season 1, but preferably go back to Chris Eccleston.
Yep. Start with Rose.
2005.
Yep.
Oof,
It
Rose,
holds up.
so good.
It holds
I
up.
just watched it again like a few weeks ago. So good. Even anti-plastic made me smile, even though it's the dumbest thing of all time. Anti-plastic.
It kind of
Fantastic.
really set the tone, though. Because I was so nervous when they brought it back. I was terrified that you guys going to ruin my childhood. I flatly refused to watch it for 4 years.
Whoa! Even see those Tennant years, the hype would have been enormous,
massive,
and you're resisting it.
Yep. You're going to ruin my childhood. I'm not watching it. And it wasn't until my friend convinced me, and how she convinced me was Catherine Tate. Because I loved
Donna Noble.
I was a big fan of her
Noble
comics.
Temple Noble?
Temple, yeah.
You were a fan of what?
Her comedic show, The Catherine Tate Show, which is basically, it's very similar to Little Britain in its format. It's a sketch show. She does a bunch of recurring characters that you know what their personality is, and they're going to get to their catchphrase. I was a big fan of her, and so my friend went, "Stop resisting. It's good, and it's got Catherine Tate." So and I was like, can't resist now.
Do you ever get that feeling, that like buzzy feeling that you're about to touch on your favorite subject of all time?
Absolutely.
This is so weird, folks, but possibly my favorite episode of Doctor Who, past and present, is one that most people think is absolute trash, and it's The Doctor's Daughter. It's got everything I love. It's got Martha Jones. It's got Donna Noble. It's got a hot blonde lady that weirdly becomes David Tennant's wife and has 4 children.
And also is the
8?
daughter.
I don't know how many they are.
You can't mention that without also acknowledging her dad was Doctor Who.
Yes.
Peter Davison.
Peter Davison.
He was her dad. He's her dad. So she actually went to school with, I think it was Sylvester McCoy's daughter as well. So she kind of grew up thinking everyone's dad was Doctor Who. And then she married Doctor Who. So it's
incredible. Have you listened to her Jenny Big Finish box sets?
No, I'm very behind on the old Big Finish. It's an interesting one, but I haven't done much Big Finish.
Again, most people think it's trash, but man, I love them. She's like a Bernice Springfield kind of River Song type, just going around solving mysteries. It's fun.
I like that. She was a great character. I'm sad we never saw more of her on the actual show, because they really kind of left that hanging at the end of The Doctor's Daughter, that she was potentially going to come back. I still think she might. There's theories going that she might be Mrs. Flood.
Oh my God. It's hard for me to accept. Okay, we're just doing the episode now, and that's predictions. That should come at the end. But Mrs. Flood, my theory brain is buzzing. If she was Jenny, I feel like she would have changed a little, because you'll notice when Carla asked for some tea or whatever, and when Belinda is like, tell my parents I love them, she's like, no, bye dearie. Like, she's emotionless, putting on a show. It feels much more like who is the lady that never dies? Clara's friend. They get a diner together.
Naomi, Ashilda.
Ashilda has that kind of like, I've seen it all, done it all kind of vibe to her.
She does, but then there's also her costumes. Because if you look at the different outfits...
She's a Doctor Who fan. She wore the Romana beautiful white floofy thing from the Rebos operation. Rebos?
And she also wore a jumper with a pearl necklace, which is Clara's main outfit. There's one that you could attribute to Rory with the puffer jacket.
Oh, I love the puffer jacket.
So you see her in the puffer jacket, and then you see the picture of Rory in the puffer jacket, and they match up as well. And so there's all these little Easter eggs, and I love Russell's Easter eggs. He's my favorite screenwriter of all time, by the way, for
Oh,
television.
nice.
I love everything Russell's done. He's phenomenal. Like, have you seen It's a Sin? That's amazing. Years and Years. Dark but incredible. And yeah, even some of his like earlier stuff. I'm a big Russell T Davies fan, and so excited to have him back. And you can hear his voice in these new episodes, I think, very much.
I feel like he's like gotten better. Although certain things that are like Russell T Davies signature moves, I feel like are still present that can be
Definitely.
a little awkward at times. There's one moment near the end of this episode, I'll bring it up then. But it's like you kind of have to smile and go, it's just Russ being Russ kind of
100%. Have you read The Writer's Tale?
No.
Well worth it.
I'm so reluctant to learn more about folks.
This one's interesting because it's not in a normal written format. It's the actual emails between him and the guy who was running Doctor Who magazine at the time, Nick something, I think. Forgive me, I've probably gotten that wrong. But their emails together, covers the era of basically writing. They were filming season 3 and they were writing season 4. So you get the whole thing of finding out they're going to get Catherine Tate back, finding out they can bring Donna back and what that means. And it's just them emailing back and forwards. That's all it is. It's not structured in like, chapters and blah, blah, blah. It's just, here's our email correspondence over this year and a half. And you get a really good insight into the mind and the process. And I find that really, really good. Again, it was one it took me a while to get around to, but I regret nothing. It was a great read, especially as a Who fan.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I hear other Who fans always praising it. I think because I've lost, like, I was a Woody Allen fan before I found out about his personal life.
I hate it when something gets killed. Let's not talk about Neil Gaiman. Oh.
I try not to even think his name.
It's so hard when you really love someone and you find out something really terrible about them. Like, some people you can kind of, I guess, smell it on. Like, I've never been a Russell Brand fan. He's always given me the ick.
Yes, he played an asshole too well in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I was like, that feels too real.
Yeah. And every story I've ever heard about him is they're not great. But the ones that take you by surprise are always really heartbreaking. Like John Barrowman of it all.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Anyway, we're getting
I don't
dark.
know the specifics. Well, folks, we're Doctor Who fans, and one of the things we know about Doctor Who fans is that they hate Doctor Who. No, we're just very picky. We have our likes, we have our dislikes, we have our just adoration for bad special effects and like goofy ass character moments. Like, it's all part of the soup.
Absolutely. I don't know how I feel.
Stuff behind the scenes can be part of that too. Gareth Roberts has written some really great episodes. Absolute garbage human being at the moment, at least. Gaiman, yeah, just awful person. But there's good new canon in the Doctor's wife. Less so in
Nightmare in Silver.
Nemesis Part 2. Yeah, Nightmare in Silver.
The Doctor's wife to this day there are friends of mine that's their number one episode, will always be. And the wonderful Saran Jones, who I absolutely adore.
Tremendous. Tremendous.
She's just great in everything. Like Gentleman Jack is one of my favorites. It's so good. She's phenomenal. So it's really hard to separate, and I do try to separate the artist from the art, but in some things you can't. Like the whole J.K. Rowling is...
Yeah, I seem to have found my lines. It's sexual assault, bigotry and lately it's Zionism, but it's painful. It's like finding out that Coke looked the other way or helped all these labor leaders get killed in Central America, or like
or Fanta.
I don't know, any other brand that you get excited about that did terrible things.
Yeah, it definitely has a difference. Like do you guys have Fanta over there? Like it's the orange. It's like an orange fizzy drink.
It's owned by Coke, I think.
Yes, and it was started in. It was like it's called people reference it as a Nazi drink because it was basically brought out because they didn't want they didn't want them drinking an American, the enemy branded soft drink, so they invented Fanta. It's
amazing.
I'm full of weird facts. Wow.
Okay, well, I'm picturing that commercial with the Venga Boys, and like if they had a bunch of extras dressed as Nazis, that would be a much different commercial.
Yes, it can. I mean,
the Himmler boys are coming. No, we're not going to do that.
No,
this is not that kind of show.
I don't know. I could weirdly see, I could see that being like a Saturday Night Live sketch, though.
Totally. But you have to set it up. There's so much extra work you got to do at the top.
Yeah, you need the assumed knowledge.
Okay, that's Doctor Who. You like Donna Noble.
Favorite companion?
My favorite companion is Martha, maybe Rory. Maybe it's a double act.
I love Rory.
I love them.
Not so much a fan of Amy, but love Rory.
Amy's hard to love. Rory has a lot to handle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better after she sacrifices her life to go back in time to a place that apparently the Doctor can never visit, which is kind of a silly time travel paradox thing.
It's not one of my favorite. I mean, is it a plot hole? Is it not? They've tried to explain.
It's a production choice. Everything you don't like about Doctor Who, it's usually down to a production choice. It's like the actors went on, or the writers went on strike, or like, I don't know, they couldn't afford a good effect, or somebody kept writing women as mysteries to be solved.
Stephen Moffat. Yeah.
Or whatever your beef is.
Part of the reason I don't like Amy is because she doesn't, even though she's this strong, supposedly independent character, but everything relates to the Doctor. And I read a really interesting infographic once that compared Russell T Davies episodes with Stephen Moffat's episodes based on how frequently they pass the Bechdel test, which is a pretty low bar. And it was something like 80% versus 50%. It was huge.
And for those who don't know, the Bechdel test, it like tests an episode if there's one scene with at least two women talking about a subject
named
other
women.
than a man.
They have to be named characters.
Women, right. And
for the purposes of that graphic, they excluded like the Doctor. But if they have to have two named female characters have to have a conversation about something that is not a man. And that can be met by something as simple as like a mother-in-law and a daughter going furniture shopping together, and saying there's, well, I really like that table over there. Yes, that's a great table. Pass the Bechdel test. So it's a really low bar.
So low. My God. Well, that's good to know that Davies, because that is really something a producer should be in charge of, is making representation more equal and like. But here's my issue with the WhoDis seasons is that Russell has so many writing credits that I feel like we're missing opportunities to have more representation just because there's so few episodes and he writes at least half of them.
I think there's more this season.
Interesting.
I think from what I've gathered, and often the episodes where he's gotten a co-write on, it can be something as simple as there's a part of the overarching story that is part of it, and that's why they get the co-write. In fact, the only person who generally doesn't have a co-write credit with Russell in his seasons is Stephen Moffat. He gets a certain level of grace to do his episodes. Like the Moffat episodes in a Russell T Davies series, I think are some of the best of Doctor Who. That's where you get the absolute perfect combination. Moffat's not pulled in too many different directions, but and you've got like Russell's ability to oversee long-term storylines. I think he does that better because of his time in soaps. He got his start writing in soap operas, whereas Moffat got his start writing in sitcoms. And I think that's very obvious in the way they structure their seasons as showrunners.
It's almost like Russell's a 3-camera show and Moffat's a 1-camera.
Exactly.
What I love about the soap format is that it was kind of in between movies and TV. Like it's this weird third space that's more theatrical. And Doctor Who does some great theatrical business that I feel like you can miss if every shot is planned down to the mark and, editing is super like focused.
Yeah.
Things Moffat does well, but I feel like, kind of edges out the bigger performances.
Yeah, I think so. I think Russell's episodes are generally more well-rounded. Like his secondary characters are more fleshed out than Moffat's, in my opinion. Like the Mothers is a really good example of that. The way, like Jackie Tyler. I always forget what Martha's mother's name because she's Lady Danbury in Bridgerton, and I can't unsee that.
Sylvia. Is it Sylvia?
Sylvia? Was it, or is that Donna's mum?
Donna's mom.
Yeah, Donna's mum. So Martha's mum.
Martha's mom. Oh gosh, she sells her out to the fascists. Oh God, what is her name?
She'll always be Lady Danbury to me now. I've watched too much Bridgerton.
Lady Danbury from Bridgerton. Okay.
Yeah.
She suffers for that choice, though. She has to be a maid to a psychopath for a year or something.
Yeah, the Year of Hell. Wait, no, that's Voyager.
Jesus.
To tie back to the episode, the Robot Revolution, the comparison I see with Martha is Belinda figures out what Martha took a year or more to figure out, that the Doctor is dangerous, whereas Belinda had a much steeper learning curve on that. So she's similar, but she saw Sasha 55 die, and that made her immediately see the Doctor for the dangerous person. Like, he's a dangerous person to be around. You're running risks. It's constantly referenced through the show that it's dangerous for the companions, and it makes sense for some of them to want to say no. And it's a commonly talked about thing. I've certainly heard it spoken about, where Martha is the only companion to leave on her own terms and not for like space reasons.
Until Ruby.
Well, yeah, I guess. You're right. That was... I forget.
But there again, I feel like that's a production reason. That's because she's too good an actor and is going to go be famous somewhere rather than stay on our crappy little show.
This is what worries me about Shooty.
Yes. I try to avoid all the whispers because they're all a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And Who fans are always being like, oh, it's going to get canceled, or, oh, he's sick of doing it, he's going to leave. But, once I go back to a season that I thought was subpar or whatever, I'm usually like, oh, there's some good stuff in here.
I just rewatched
like
Space
the Flux. Babies. I watched it again.
Ooh.
Oh, God, I love the Flux. What's the Flux?
but I think some of those episodes stand out stronger than others. So, War of the
Oh yeah.
Sontarans and
War
Village
of the
of the Angels,
Sontarans.
they're as
Oh,
good
Village of
as
the
any
Angels.
other Doctor Who episode you can watch.
Absolutely. Guys, a angel comes out of what, paper and then turns into
Yep.
a fire. It's incredible.
Oh, well, anything that is the image of an angel becomes an angel. Like, factoring that old
One of the
law.
biggest cliffhangers of all time at the end of
Oh
that
my
one.
gosh, such a like. I remember watching that at like probably 5 o'clock in the morning when it would air in Australia. Or just waking up in the morning, and I remember watching that and just being like, "What? No, 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 no! You can't leave it there. No."
It's like finding out your, I don't know, your nephew is being babysat by a witch. It's like this couldn't get any worse. I love this lady. She's going with these things.
Really, these choices, okay, but and that's it. People criticize the Chibnall era, but I do think there is some of the best. At when it's good, it's good. Like I just rewatched The Power of the Doctor, and that is phenomenal. It's got everything. Sacha Dhawan as the Master, my favorite Master, by the way.
Ooh.
I mean, he's phenomenal. The way he like chews the scenery and is so extreme with his acting choices that it makes it exciting.
It's like he takes her manic energy, but like to its most upsetting, annoying extreme, which is what a good master should do, is like
Exactly.
be the worst version of our favorite hero. Or in some
Exactly.
cases, like better. Like the first master is so much more chill and groovy than John Pertwee. So it's almost like hard to hate him because he's just so like, I don't know,
It's
just
always hard to hate the
groovy's the wrong
Master.
word. He's a genocidal nutcase, but man, it's so cool.
Absolutely. I think all of them, like for me, like John Sim, when Russell brought John Sim in, and being already a fan of John Sim, there's a movie about rave culture, um, human traffic, and it was the definitive like snapshot of 90s rave culture in the UK, and it is one of my favorite films, and he is the main character in that. So when they brought him in as the Master, I absolutely lost my mind because it's John Sim.
And he comes in with a bang. Folks, he gasses the cabinet.
Yeah,
Like,
literally
wow.
gets himself elected Prime Minister. The Doctor arrives and he's been there for years planting seeds. And if you go back and watch the whole season beforehand, there's all these little signs like a Vote Saxon poster, or him giving the word to wasn't the Sycorax, it was the I think it's Smith and Jones maybe, where Mr. Saxon says shoot or something, and he like these little tidbits. These are Russell's Easter eggs that he always drops throughout a season. And that one's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Okay. I love the master. I hope we see a master again before Russell goes away.
We'll see. It's
Yeah.
I do think we might get we don't. I mean, that's one of the theories on Mrs. Flood, right? That would be the way that the
Yes.
Master would troll the Doctor.
That would make more sense that the master somehow like got leapt outside of the canon so they can talk to the fourth wall, because when the Doctor went to the edge of the universe and like all of a sudden they got this new gift or whatever, I could see it. But it was funny because she was like in the last episode of the previous season, Carla is like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's like, "Oh, basically be quiet,
Yeah,
but also I had such plans, right? Like,
that realizing that she wasn't connected to Sutek in any way, which I think we were all kind of expecting, whatever the big bad mystery was going to be.
how I still gotta say, folks, I don't know how the master stole the TARDIS once or twice, right? Never noticed there was a Sutek hanging around.
Same could be said for River Song. River Song used to just turn up and take it. And
if I was the Doctor, I would go find River Song and be like, you never noticed that there was a dog on my TARDIS? Help me out here. I guess she's dead.
Well, she's dead, but he's spoken to her since in canonically post the library when they did the candle thing where Clara had to, like, they basically fall asleep and then was sitting there with, like, River Song and Madame Vastra and all of that current Doctor's varying companions, short term and long. So there's the more we can bring back Alex Kingston, the better. I love River Song.
Oh, hell yeah. I could see her being River Song because she was raised to be a psychopath, so she could probably just turn off her emotions like that real easy.
Oh, absolutely. Like it gets referenced, like when, particularly with the several times she goes down and kills a bunch of the Silence, which, you know, don't tell him I've got the gun. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, so I think she's some sort of god of storytelling or television.
I like that theory. I think because, you know, we've had the toy maker,
but for a god to be taken out by Sutek, it seems unlikely because she totally got dissolved by Sutek, right?
But is the god of death more powerful than other gods? Because, you know, there's even in a, like...
Oh, yes. Russell has turned him into a god.
Yeah.
Rather than just a regular old siren.
That's the implication, because, the god, because also that factors in with it gets referenced throughout season 1 and with the toy maker. Great casting, by the way. Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah. Oh, phenomenal.
So good. Okay, let's get into this episode.
Let's do it.
57 minutes in, we're going to get it. Okay. Right up the top, she's talking to, she looks really young. Somehow they aged her down
Space effectively. That Space Buns, that hairstyle, that Sailor Moon.
And her skin was flawless.
I got filter for that.
Yeah. And she's with this guy who's not cute, like, well, I mean, he's fine, but like for her, there's a weird mismatch, and he's way too into these stars, like in a real poet, bad boy, you know, high school asshole kind of way.
Oh, he's the worst. Like and they establish it within seconds in the episode, because one of the first sentences that comes out of his mouth is, "Now I know girls aren't good at maths, but..."
Yeah, I wrote, this guy's a real sensitive douche.
I wrote, old mate is awful.
Yes. And then he does that folding the paper bullshit. Nobody does that anymore. That's not, I guess it was 10 years ago, maybe. But yeah, we don't fold the paper. Like, the world is fucked. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Very few people are refolding. It's just a dick move, right? He probably doesn't fold up the paper.
No, I think there's like, it was really like easily and quickly established. Like, if you didn't pick up on the girls don't like maths thing, one of the first, Miss Belinda Chandra, and she's like, "Well, you can get rid of the miss, I don't really care about that." And he's like, "But are you married?"
Now, I think that was very skillfully done. It's good that it was brought back at the end. However, I feel like the editing was too quick. She said a thing, and it's like he had prepared to say, "Are you married?" Whereas I feel like a douche like that would like take a second to think about what she said.
It's true. It's true.
But I mean, you know, you can criticize an editor. all day. It's kind
Production
of a
choices.
silly thing to do.
I know. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah. It is an odd gift. Like, I thought about giving it to somebody once, and then I was like, but it's so much about you and what you thought they'd be into. I don't know. I think it's a good gift for a dick to give to somebody. Like, it
Absolutely.
says a lot without saying much.
And I think they were telling the story of, like, so much of the Doctor Who is the music, and having Murray Gold back is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the music as he says, "Are you married? It's Miss," you can hear the kind of womp womp, but better because it's Murray Gold, where you're like, supposed to know this isn't cool, this isn't good, don't, we're not supposed to like this guy, he's supposed to give us the ick.
Yeah.
And that little notice I didn't notice that to my third rewatch, but I was like, oh yeah, I could hear the music went whatnot, and brought it down when you said that.
And she has this great little reaction. She goes, oh, wow. And that pause to me says everything. It says, I was really expecting my boyfriend to get me something.
I
don't know, like a sweater or something. It really sold how it was kind of awkward, but she's 16 or 18 or whatever. So she's raised to hide all that.
Of course. Yeah, and it's certainly in when that timing would have been as well. You're taught to people please and react because it's rude if you don't, instead of giving a legitimate reaction. And when you've got a guy that's problematic like that, and she says it later in the episode where the Doctor asks her, how did he treat you? What did you like? And she's like, well, he was constantly correcting me. He was telling me to do things, like condescending, making sighs and groans in reaction to things I do, which these little microaggressions.
Yeah, I was surprised she didn't use the word, like, clearly a very specific decision, but that's what she was saying. Like, he is always tutting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
So you can kind of see that.
I lost the start of your sentence there.
Oh, sorry.
It's like it dropped out for some reason.
All good. We can probably ADHD brain. I will have it zooms into my brain as soon as it's gone as quickly as it came. But if we're talking about like Alan as a character, he.
It benefits so much on a rewatch because at first you're like, well, he's a jerk, but like not that bad, surely as he ages he'll become a better person or whatever.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't really age.
No.
That's why I think her saying Planet of the Incels works, even though it seems a little bit on the nose or incongruous even. But he clearly never grew out of this desire to be with her. It's been 10 years, dude. Your planet is full of hot ladies. Like, we saw many of them die in the first scene.
But that was his first...
in the battle.
His reaction to being brought back as well. He's like, wait, like, it's like a game I can control. I can kill whoever I want. And that's where he goes first. Yee.
Yes. So he was truly a very bad person. And it unfolds. We get to see a little bit. And then he goes, Belinda, beloved.
Oh.
It's like, oh, what the fuck?
But then they flip it on their head again with the every ninth word thing. Like, actually, was he, or did he know about the fault in the robots? And was he trying to trick the Doctor into, like, saving him in some way? I think that's something we'll find out in the future. I think there's more. There was, like, I know it's skipping ahead a little bit, but when...
Well, okay, yeah.
Well, remind me when we get up to where the big climax, because there's something I noticed, and it means nothing within the context of what we've seen so far, but knowing Russell, it'll be one of those definitive moments, like the first time you walk past Bad Wolf graffiti.
Yeah.
that you don't notice it now, and then you dismiss it because it's not relevant to what you've just seen, but it'll come back.
We'll call that a climax pin.
Yeah.
We're pinning that climax. Alan, I think maybe of course the show's all about reading too much into this stuff, but it's possible that it's a metaphor for how a person starts out kind of shitty and then there's, I don't know, get ready for some woo-woo talk, but their soul separates from their outer appearance, what they give to the world. And so maybe this is like deep inside there's a redeemable human, but he's too far gone. And I think that's why the doctor can get away with laughing at his death.
Yeah.
They make him real bad. So it's like, okay, we just took out a Hitler.
But the influence that he had on the Miss Belinda Chandra planet was unexpected and unbelievable. And he created they keep hitting home the point that the humans, the Miss Belinda Chandra kind and the Miss Belinda Chandra bots all got along really well together for generations. What changed? And it was this guy being brought in.
God, that part is really true. Like, one person can really fuck up a whole country.
Very true. Very true. Although
and other countries near them.
Or not even near them and still...
No, well, yeah. George Bush in Iraq.
But even the impact of what's going on at the moment is being felt here. Like, literally the other side of the world. It has... it can be one person having this big influence, but I don't know whether this is getting too politically philosophical, but the great man theory that was the society of Miss Belinda Chandra coming to a point where anyone coming in, like, it bred that kind of, would the revolution have happened anyway if Alan hadn't come? It could have.
Well, this is why we can't put uber powerful robots with no moral center in the service of evil people.
Absolutely, because it doesn't have that.
But how do you keep them out of their hands? You know?
Can you write compassion into a program?
I believe it's possible. I think Claire from Zoom will be our shining example. I have this theory that she watches over so many healthy, productive conversations all the time. And probably the odd white supremacist thing. But, in the aggregate, maybe all his happy, healthy meetings will influence her to be nice to us when she takes over.
So, well, no. Or are we just destined to cop Skynet at some point?
It sucks. According to Star Trek Picard, we are destined to get Skynet in every timeline. But that's a different series. So let's see. She says it's the nicest thing anybody's ever gotten her. And I have to be like, that might just be a thing she's saying to be nice to this guy. But it also could be the nicest thing she's ever gotten, which is kind of sad.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know anything about her family. We don't know anything about her background. So it might be like she seems like she's living a pretty lonely life. Her housemates don't even get her name right.
They don't respect her at all.
No. And have no... Which, we've all lived in a share house from time to time where it's varying degrees of getting along well, but I thought having her be in a share house, even though she's employed presumably by the NHS, and having to live in the share house while she's not studying, she's working, was a really good way to kind of bring in the cost of living crisis and like time and date stamp. It makes it feel current rather
Yeah, it
than
grounds it in a reality that a ton of people can relate to.
exactly. So it has like when we get to her, 17 years later in the share house where it's all kicking off and the doctor's turning up.
Oh my God, we have to talk about this outfit.
Oh yes,
The pinstripe kilt vest combo. What?
With the tartan over jacket. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was watching this episode last night with one of my best friends who is not a Doctor Who fan at all, was just watching random episodes with her. And I was trying to explain about how all the doctors have outfit that's there, maybe one, maybe two, like Tennant, the brown suit or the blue suit. They've got they've got very little costume change unless it's plot related. Whereas Shooty, the first, what's the word, like queer-coded doctor, is very fashion forward and fashion conscious and has a different outfit. Each and every episode, it's a different look. And more than
one. Oh my God, that
kilt
orange
skirt.
peacoat from 73 yards. They should sell that toy, that action figure.
I'd buy that dolly.
Dolly? Adam Richard calls them dollies.
Actually, yeah, we're not. It's that was one of my notes here. Actually, I would buy the Polish the robot dolly. The Polish. I love that guy.
Oh my God. So cute. I guess he's called Scoot, but it's never said in the episode.
All right, there you go. I've just got him as Polish the robot.
That's the first bit of trivia. The second is that the germ of the idea for this episode was the idea of the star certificate.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So you got 2 trivia points there. That might be it. So some assholes like, don't touch the granola. Her roommates are dicks. There's this really nice shot that goes over her in bed and then tilts up to the certificate.
Yes.
And the sound in that moment is so fucking cool. Like the music is following the weird sounds and it's just all blending seamlessly.
Oh, that's absolutely phenomenal. And then it hits the robots.
The robots.
They come and they have a bit of the robots from Smile vibe with the little emoji faces, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're as big as the guy from Wedding of River Song.
The husbands of
River Song.
Greg Davies, who host of British Taskmaster. Running joke with my friends that we call him my boyfriend because I absolutely adore Greg Davies. He's wonderful. So shout out to Greg Davies. He plays Rivers. The King. What's the King? Yeah.
King Zaxelfrax.
Oh, he's so good. I love Greg Davies. So the robots are that size. They're coming in. They're smashing up a house. Calufrax. That's it.
Or is that a planet from the Pirate Planet?
No, I think it's something. It's
We gotta look this up, folks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
King Hydroflax.
Hydroflax. That's it. Hydroflax. No,
So I just love her in the kitchen scene because she stands up to these giant monsters. She's like, my landlord's gonna be pissed.
Yeah. The other thing with that moment with the robots as well, like it's the trope, the fact that to threaten her and show her they're serious, they kill the cat.
You killed the cat.
The cat is irrelevant.
It wasn't my cat.
The cat is still irrelevant.
I don't know if you're aware of that website that's like never kill the like that argument of once you kill the cat.
Yeah, the way you prove your hero is saves a cat. That's how it like begins. But what's wrong with killing a cat?
Well, causes an audience reaction. Like, I've read a lot about this where it causes a
Yes.
certain kind of reaction where it's a way of, in show don't tell, right? This is how we're going to demonstrate that these are the bad guys, and they do something evil to an animal. That will just, people find that unforgivable.
A lot of people are pissed. Yeah.
I really struggled at the end of the episode with it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I thought about this a lot. If you don't kill the cat, you got to kill one of the roommates or a neighbor. Like the way RTD starts an episode with threat is stakes. You got to prove that the enemy will kill or the characters aren't afraid. But in this case, they can't kill the roommates because
We don't like the roommates. We don't have sympathy for the roommates. We're not going to care if the roommates are killed, to be honest, because they were all awful to her.
they're a tie to her domestic life. I think if one of them was killed, she'd be really worried about how that's going to pan out. Now, I could have been like the neighbors, like one of the neighbors.
Oh, no, the neighbor is Mrs. Flood, though, so you can't kill her.
Yeah. And then they have this period where you can't kill anyone else because there's like 10 minutes until the battle, right? So I think they've got to kill somebody early to make us scared. And that cat, it got the job done.
It's a real shortcut to getting an audience offside with a character. It's you can never forgive that. And even at the end, when the dogs are like, oh, now the Miss Belinda Chandrakant and the bots can
Right?
become friends again. I'm like, can they though?
These guys are fucking war criminals and cat killers.
We
What do
can't
we just
stop.
put in a compassion chip and everything's fine now?
That's the question, isn't it?
These guys' judgment was so bad they gave it to a 16-year-old or 18-year-old. I don't know how old he was there.
Oh yeah, they it was 17. Yeah, she was somewhere around there.
Okay, another costume update. I love her tan. Is it tan? It's like light brown. It's almost like a pea coat, but it's longer and doesn't have pockets. She wears it out of the house. They take her
Like a
into
dressing gown
into the
situation, cardigan.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Mrs. Flood is there. She's being weird. And then the doctor shows up in his tartan jacket and he's like screaming Belinda over and over again. What do you think of screaming someone's name into the sky?
Well, we've seen it be. I always get the imagery at the end of Revenge of the Sith. I've got there's so many things with those screaming, the Anakin know of it all.
Oh, before he kills all the Tusken Raiders.
And the way it seems like there's not much that can be done, and it shows, I think, desperation from the doctor, that wanting to get there, because you spot him at the hospital. He's already knows that there's, he's spying on her and keeping an eye on her, and he didn't get to the house in time to prevent the robots taking her. But he's there for a reason.
But why the name? Why does he say her name even though she couldn't possibly hear him?
Was he trying to make her aware that he was there and give her hope that someone was coming for her?
Yeah, just on the offside chance they had him on the speakers.
Potentially.
Interesting.
It comes down to, or is it just to tell, is it a production choice by the audience so we make sure we know her name?
Yeah, one for the kids.
Yeah.
Samantha, and also who you're supposed to worry about.
Exactly.
What do you think of these opening credits?
I like it. I'm appreciating the Disney money and the production value. The Murray Gold themes. I really enjoy Shooty's Doctor Hero theme. They're pretty. They're pretty. They're rainbow. They've got a nice
So
vibe.
gorgeous. My favorite moment is when it bursts out of the cloud.
Yeah, does a zoom across the screen? Absolutely. And that's something that's not done in previous ones. You've always got the going through the time vortex kind of
Uh-huh.
energy, but it gets done in different ways, like the Peter Capaldi one, which was fan made, with his face there, and then the clock wheels and all of that. It's very different. Whereas I'm a bit more of a purist. Like I like the original one was just, I think it was them like over focusing those old 1963 cameras and like shining a light into. There's a really cool story about how they made that first credit background,
Yeah.
which has
So
inspired
cool.
the rest of them forever. All the changes in it.
I really liked Sasha 55's fearful face acting.
Mm. I wish we'd gotten to know her more. I'm sad. I found it. I'm sad that I wasn't more sad when she gets shot by the robots. Especially after getting
Yeah.
so invested.
But it helps on a rewatch. On my fourth viewing, I started getting like a little teary when she's like, "Hey, we have to do whatever the robots say or whatever." It was weird. It's like I'm sure there's some focus on building these episodes to be rewatched,
Oh, absolutely.
like the whole season. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know. That'd be cool if we learned more about those 6 months. I can't imagine we're going back there though.
What's the opposite of the recent Christmas episode, right? Joy to the World.
Oh yeah, we see a lot of that time.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
of that time is, and because we don't follow Joy, we follow the Doctor and Anita. We're much more like just about everyone I've spoken to. While Nicola Coughlin's performance is phenomenal,
Oh, for
everyone's got a
sure.
lot of empathy and love for Anita, who's just this normal woman working in a hotel who the Doctor becomes friends with. And I think if we got a little bit more of that, what was happening in that 6 months, to build Sasha 55's relationship with the Doctor, we would care more that when she gets shot.
It's almost like she's suffering from this being the first episode of the season, because they have to do so much work with the companion
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
like get them to want to be on the TARDIS or not, I guess, in this case.
And Russell does it very similarly. Catherine Tate aside, because that was a different thing, but certainly with Rose and with Martha, it was their first episodes were very much from their point of view, with the Doctor popping in, and you're seeing it from, with him turning up on the street with Martha with his tie off that then gets paid off later in the episode. Even just the simple, we're following Rose's life when we first start Rose. And the Doctor doesn't come in until he literally pops in, grabs her hand and says, run. It's, yeah,
It's a
you
great
need that. You
episode. Oh
need
my
that
God.
with a first companion episode. We need to
Yeah.
see it from their perspective.
This one tweaks it a little bit by having the Doctor not be able to reach her. It
Mm,
like delays that gratification, because a Doctor meeting a companion is always like a very special moment, because
yeah.
he instantly can tell that they're a person of quality,
What do you
except for Donna, maybe.
Donna is something else. Donna, and because she appears in the TARDIS as well, it's not like the Doctor chose her. The Archon
Yeah, he was
energy
off
chose
his game from minute one
losing.
there.
Yeah, losing Rose. Like he was really that was seconds after that scene where he's saying goodbye to Rose on the beach, and then he turns around and
Yeah.
Donna's there in the TARDIS, and
What?
yeah, what?
What?
The classic David Tennant. I'm so glad
What?
that was his first thing he said when he regenerated out of Jodie as the 14th Doctor, to have that what moment.
Yes. Oh.
It's when you knew you were back on board.
The throne room is fucking incredible, immaculate. I love the like pastel green and the like, I don't know what color the tile is. It's not brick red. It's some sort of, I don't know, orangey red.
So that good Disney money, like sometimes I almost made uncomfortable by the level of production value in this new WhoDis era. Like it, because I'm so used to it. Like I'm like, where is it shot? Where are all my shots in a quarry? Where's all my running down the hallways? It's the same hallway that I thought.
A lot of this is CG, right? Because they have the effects wall. And so there's a lot of wizardry here. So in certain scenes, I miss having a set. Like on the bridge when they're saying goodbye, it's obvious that it's just like a part of their set.
Yeah.
And they're all standing in this weird clump with their former oppressors just right there.
Yeah.
But when they get a set like this, yeah, it's like, ooh, money on the screen.
How long is it going to have rewatch value for, though? I'm always skeptical. I mean, it's a fact. Movies that are primarily CGI age so much worse and so much quicker than what movies with practical effects do. So, like Jurassic Park is always the example I cite on this, Eternal Sunshine. Because so much of it was done with practical effect, it doesn't age as quickly because the technology is. I was watching The Girl in the Fireplace last night, and when the doctor jumps through the mirror on the horse, you're like, most of the time you can't really tell that it's a 20-year-old episode. That moment you can, and you're like,
yeah.
ooh.
In my head I go, oh, that's magic glass. It's supposed to look like that.
I like that.
I have it paused on a scene when she sits in the throne. There is a matte painting behind her that is so beautiful. I don't think it'll ever go out of style. The like iridescent business around the window. Instead of a sun, it's got a reflection of one of the lights we've seen inside the room bouncing off the mirror or the window rather. It's just gorgeous. So I think some of it will last. The trailer for this season, I remember being like, it can't look this good. The whole season can't be this good, surely. But who knows?
Well, I think that's the exciting thing about this new era. It's, they've got a better budget. They've got Disney money rather than, whatever the BBC gets from people's TV licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited by it. It's really great to be able to see the show being everything it could have been. But also, I love a glad-wrapped monster with a rubber glove or bubble,
How about a cactus man with green bubble wrap?
Yeah, exactly.
Or am I confusing two episodes? I might be mixing the Ark in Space with Megloss, but yeah. Green bubble wrap does a little...
Oh, like the evolution of the Silurian mask. Where it was just a mask back in those days to make them all look uniform, and then when they do the Hungry Earth, she takes the mask off and that beautiful lizard makeup and the face of the Silurian, whereas in the classic series they all just had that same mask. So you got a nod to that in the way they used to look while still using the better technology that's available now. So it's a challenge of a TV show that has recurring villains for over a period of 60 years.
Yeah. Like one analog I have is Star Trek, where Klingons in the 60s were just guys with extra eyebrow. Like that was it. Whereas in Next Generation, they had full prosthetic.
But they wrote it in. They covered why. And I'm cool with it. If you write it in as to why it's different.
I believe in Trials and Tribulations, he says, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Deep
Exactly.
Space Nine.
I read.
And then in Kurtzman Trek, there's something about in Enterprise maybe there was a disease that changed
that
their.
made and they made it, and then it was kind of like they were bringing back their culture by bringing back the forehead ridges or something like that, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of Trek, which means there's a lot of lore. It's
Yeah.
talking about special effects. It's really interesting the way, like, because I've got the nostalgia of early Doctor Who, of watching that at the time. I can still enjoy that on a level that I really I'm only converted to being a Trekkie about 10 years ago, and I really struggle with TOS.
You have a little bit less tolerance, whereas for me it was my first love, and my brother was more Next Generation. So yeah, I get that. I have it paused on the scene where we first see the AI generator.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking incredible, but with the dry ice and the like shape of it, sort of a cross between Deep Thought and I don't know, something the Red Skull would sit in, but also the architect from Paradise Towers. Have you seen Paradise Towers?
No.
Oh, it's a Sylvester McCoy episode with what's the name? Redhead lady, super skinny. Melanie Bush.
Mel.
It's a really great episode. Anyway, it's like a guy who became a robot, just like this guy. But yeah.
For me, it was a Cyberman. I got
much
mad
Cyberman.
cyber energy from, like, with that whole, particularly like the face in the
Oh, it looked so good. Completely chromed out.
Did you notice the rib cage? Oh,
that was some Borg Queen shit. Like,
yes.
If he had like been lowered down into a pair of pants, like that would have been.
Yes, no, you're right. Bang on, the Borg Queen. NASA. That's a good call.
When we see his ribs and there's nothing left below, that's when she goes, "Are you all right?" Like,
yeah.
Basically, like, does that hurt? I think she might say, "Does that hurt?"
Are you all right?
And he hinted at it, like, if, like, the whole listening to the ninth letter thing, like I was writing it down, and it's hard to catch them all, and I'm glad they kind of reiterated them and reshowed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll help some of us distractible people, plus children. It gives them a little like, oh, okay, that's what those words were.
Exactly. It's just even the little notes of, like, good, rebels fight back very soon. When? Now. And
yes. Did you see that the robots got a little hinky right before he said now? I think them reaching for their guns early kind of tipped things a bit. I think that battle might have gone a little better.
Now I have a problem with it. Now you mentioned the guns. The thing that annoyed me the most about this episode is the Doctor is working with the rebels. The Doctor is but they had so many guns. And for me, I'm always a big fan of the way the Doctor's like, no guns, don't like guns. And I feel like in more later years, that softened a little bit. So I was disappointed to kind of see this gun battle playing out around the Doctor, and the Doctor being cool with it.
Check this out. I can headcanon this, which is that he has tried for weeks to convince them not to do a bloody revolution, that he's working out a plan.
Mm-hmm.
We even hear from him say to Manny, like, I got a thing. It's in the records room. But they were like, any minute now, anytime we have to, nobody else is going to die. Like, so, yeah, now he did say, like, its time is now, which seems like he knew today was the day. But maybe he had been telling them to wait till at least he meets Belinda.
Well, they were waiting. That was kind of I'm not sure if it was going. Yeah, we don't know, I guess, whether the that moment in the revolution was going to occur, whether Belinda was there or not. was it a coincidence or were they waiting for that moment?
I mean, they were literally bombing their area. So, like, it would have happened sooner or later. I say bombing, they were shooting lasers into the ground, but...
Well, they were called Miss Belinda Chandra bombs. They actually called them Miss Belinda Chandra bombs.
Oh, shit.
That was so funny.
There's such great music when the doc arrives, when we see him, like, step forward.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Marigold.
I wanted to mention the uniforms. They're wearing these super drab uniforms. And I think this is the robot's decision. Mm-hmm. Because if it was Alan as Alan, I bet the ladies would be tarted up to the max. No, and the guys would be like super strict, like Nazi type uniforms.
I'm not sure I agree with you there, because he makes a comment about, well, you dress too tight. Your clothes are too tight.
Oh, like he's conservative, churchy type.
And he does say that to Belinda. He's like, oh, once we're married, I don't want you wearing clothes this tight, no texting after 8.
See, I was thinking of the classic incel we think about as like a gamer guy, not religious necessarily. Whereas this guy is clearly
got some right. But I think that's what we're seeing more of, and I think that's also a reflection of society and what we're seeing with some of the, backlash to feminism, I guess. But like that whole man who wants a trad wife thing.
Yeah, his progression was stopped in his adolescence.
Yeah.
I think they're as much to blame as he is for it becoming Manosphere the planet.
Well, then you could argue it's Belinda's fault, because she did say when they took her and then the schwap happened, she's like, it wasn't me. Go find Alan. What's his? I should have written
Bud.
it. Yeah, Alan Andrew Budd or whatever it was, and she's like, go find him. And so they go back 10 years, not like he bought her the star 17 years ago. They go back 10 years because of that time schwap, whatever it was. And then
Doctor calls it a time fracture. We totally skipped over that. It was cool, and it looked and sounded cool.
And you don't know you don't even realize what's happening at first. You're like, is Disney Plus glitching? And then you see the Doctor.
That's fun. So we get the Dalek disintegration, kind of, when a person gets killed.
Very, like, see the skeleton, the light around them. It was very, very Dalek energy.
But whereas Daleks just jiggle up your insides, this disintegrates you into dust.
That's true. There is a body around. Otherwise, the Doctor would never be able to regenerate. He's been taken out by Daleks a couple of times, like that regeneration that Tennant's Doctor refused to have.
Yeah. There's a thing that happens in here. I'm reading The War of the Daleks. It's a bad book from the 90s. And it's by John Peel. It's a Doctor Who book. Anyway, there's this thing that happens in the part I'm reading just now, which happens in the scene, which is concentrate your fire. And it's like, I don't know. I just always love it when everybody like aims on one baddie and they blow up.
Yeah. Or trying to get down the stalk of the Dalek, right?
Yeah. And then these paratroopers drop down. Everybody's getting vaporized. Sasha 55's death, I feel like, gets heavier each time I watch it. So it's doing something.
Is it just an excuse to have the Doctor crying again? I know that was a running theme, because Ncuti's Doctor
People
cries all the time in a way that the others don't. But it's real. It's there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a crier.
Me too.
So I don't mind it, but...
Oh, I'm not bothered by it. I like it. I think it's a good expression to be able to have this hero that's always been so stoic and... hard.
He's more in touch with his emotions.
Exactly. So I like seeing that in this Doctor. And I think it's also just a bit of a generational thing where it's good to show young boys it's okay to cry. Whereas I don't culturally, particularly in Britain, where it's all very stiff upper lip, it wouldn't. It would you'd lose like the. I guess people would lose respect for the doctor if the doctor was showed as much emotion or cried in that. He's a grumpy old man in those early days, and it's really good indication of how far we've come as a society to have a doctor who freely shows his emotions.
It is a bit of a stark contrast from Jodie because they really didn't. The Jodie doctor really doesn't go there very often.
I think it's difficult to go there with the first female doctor when none of the previous doctors have gone there. Like the main emotion when the doctor gets emotional you would see would be anger. Like particularly coming off like Capaldi's doctor. So if you had the first female doctor also be the first crying doctor, I don't know whether that actually would have been good or helpful to the cause.
She also couldn't be sexy, like on purpose. I mean, sometimes
so
I was feeling it when she got wet.
I watched that episode last night and was like, said that to my friend, and she's walking out of the water with all her hair. Oh, so good. So good. That's a great episode. Like Alan Cumming as the like super gay king of
yes, King
so
James.
Good. So good. But that's one gets a lot of hate as well. I think because I thought it was very smart to put the first female doctor in a situation where being a woman actually affects the story and what her experience is. It wouldn't have been
Graham
a problem.
Had to take the high status role, even though that's not Graham at all.
No, not at all. All he cares about is where's his next sandwich coming from. But
relatable.
Very, very. I would be wondering. I'd be like, I'm hungry. When do we eat? But no.
Oh, so I found a theory. My headcanon is that Scoot or Polish. He was upgraded by the doctor, and that's why he is helping them. And it makes me think like one of the first things the doctor did when he got here was make a friend robot.
I haven't, but the doctor didn't. The doctor turned him off. Belinda turned him back on. And I think that was a really good character development moment for Belinda because it showed her having compassion for the smallest of creatures. And she saw the doctor. He's like, I'm really sorry, guy, but I got to turn you off. And then Belinda comes back and turns him on, and then he ends up saving them. So it's through Belinda's
that's an
compassion.
Intense scene.
Oh.
So they escape the battle. They take the transmat. They're down in the underground somewhere. And I love that line. I'm going to soundbite it in here.
Happy watching? Some things don't change. There's always a doctor standing back while the nurses do all the hard work.
I thought that was really cool.
Oh, absolutely. Like the little references to, if you're the doctor, I'm the nurse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's very Martha as well. Martha, when she said, where I'm from, you've got to earn that title.
So, oh, God. I love Martha. I got to play Martha in a role-playing game at the Doctor Who convention I went to.
That's so cool.
Oh, man. It was my first fan convention. Gallifrey 1 in LA. It was so cool. Oh, my God.
That would be amazing.
I got to be Martha Jones.
Oh, she's so... And actually, that's another, like, kind of out-of-world comparison between Belinda and Martha. Both of them played a minor character in an earlier episode, and they liked them so much they brought them back. Like, and then had to kind of write it in. Like, Martha's like, oh, yeah, my cousin died at Canary Wharf. And same thing with referencing Mundy Flynn as a future descendant. And then Belinda getting mad that he checked her DNA without her consent. Oh
my goodness. So timely. The doctor, I think, honestly, I don't know if this was an acting choice, something the director came up with, or if it's written in, but I think the doctor was characterized in this episode as being like up in her face and like taking up a lot of space. He had his finger like 6 inches from her face at one point. When he does that kick, when he's all celebrating at the end, the bottom of his shoe is facing her. Like, I feel like there's just a lot of staging that shows that he's just fucking doing his shit and doesn't think about how it's coming across to other people.
And how that affects her.
When she calls him out on it, it's like, wow, finally. How long has this show been on the air?
I can cite example. I think of then as another example of that, where the doctor's being called out at the end of The Family of Blood, when he's been John Smith. Martha's been looking after him. He falls in love with the amazing Jessica Stevenson, and for her to, he's like, come travel with me. We could give it. She's like, no. What do you know what you do, doctor? Because she's debating it, right? He says, answer me one question. If the doctor hadn't chosen this place on a whim, would anyone here have died? That's the same kind of realization where they don't, because we're so used to, the Roses, the Marthas, everyone just being like, oh my God, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. The doctor's amazing, and the doctor is amazing, but the doctor is dangerous.
Yeah, that's a great word for it.
Yeah, those kind of characters but then you think of Madame de Pompadour as like, one may tolerate a devil for the sake of the angels, and you can't, they come together, the doctor and the monsters. So everyone, like all these different companions having a different interpretation based on their experience of the doctor, and Belinda's really subverting that, and I quite like in a more unusual way, and to have that in a long-term companion is going to be very exciting, I think.
I hope the doctor takes it on board. Like, we almost never see the doctor apologize.
No.
And this apology was technically correct, but she didn't like soften. And I think it's because he is performing it. I think that's how good Ncuti Gatwa is, that he's yes, it was inexcusable, but let's not get into the specifics. That's the kind of half apology that like is better than nothing. But this is a longer conversation, and she's just like, all right, enough of this. Time to go.
And I think it also was an answer to some of the criticisms of the way they rounded out Ruby's story by going into the future, using the technology that basically Roger Ap William was considered evil for, but actually leveraging that technology to breach Ruby's mother's genetic privacy.
You tested my DNA without even asking my permission. God. You're dangerous.
Yeah.
Because that's quite troubling within the, the understanding we have in the modern sense around consent. For the doctor to do
Ruby's
that.
lucky that her mom was okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she ever asked her, like, how did you find me? And she's like, well...
magic! Because it was
It involved a fascist dictator and some... I don't know. Like, what if her dad was her mom's father or something horrible? Like...
We might still find that out.
That was not... Yeah, we're very lucky that it was a guy her own age.
He might be the thing that's special. Just saying, Ruby's coming back this year.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love Ruby.
I enjoyed her.
But I have to say that maybe I forgot what I felt in Church on Ruby Road, but like I couldn't take my eyes off of Verada.
Oh, Verada Sethi?
Yes. Amazing. She is so good. Her eye acting, it's just, whew, I just want to know where she's looking. It's so good.
I'm glad we've got her for at least a whole season. Like I've got a list here of all the things I like about Belinda. Like she's compassionate,
hell yeah.
she's kind. What he says, timey-wimey, she's like, am I 6? Very quick on the update. Was willing to sacrifice herself for the greater good. And I think that I overlooked that in my first watches, and it was something that really struck me on the one I did last night.
And even while she's doing it, she asks the robot to do the right thing.
If I can get in there, I can convince them. Maybe I can turn them around. Maybe I can change their mind if it's not just Alan's influence. And her willingness to do that and go, no, I'll do this. It's what needs to happen for the betterment of everyone. And it's, the whole Spock-ness of it all. There goes a train. But the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. She's absolutely incredible. And also it's probably not intentional Easter egg, but I'm a big Outlander fan. And in the first book, the first episode of Outlander, the first thing Claire does when she meets Jamie, there's a Doctor Who connection there too, is mend a dislocated shoulder. And that's the first thing Belinda does once they're down in the underground after the battle and they just arrive. She just immediately goes into nurse mode and puts the guy's shoulder back. Yes, the Outlander connection as well. Do you know this? That the woman who wrote Outlander was inspired by the War Games era of Doctor Who, particularly the episodes The Highlanders. And the reason the main character in Outlander is called Jamie is because it's after Jamie.
Oh, Jamie McCrimmon.
Played by Fraser Hines, an Australian.
I just saw him at the convention at Gallifrey.
Cool.
Yeah, I hear he's a lusty old man.
I mean,
he likes those ladies.
Yeah, he's a handsome man running around to kill. Not mad at it. But, I like those little connections, even if that one's a bit of a headcanon one for me. Like the fact that she does a dislocated shoulder straight away and she asks the doctor, are their shoulders the same? Can I fix it in the same way?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The question she asks, or when she asks, like, is this a chemical or is it saline or fluids or whatever?
Immediately just identifies and as an ER nurse specifically, for her to go, right, practical, how can I help? What's the quickest way to get the information I need so I can help? And she's just very impressive in that way rather than, I guess, compared to, say, a character like Rosemore or
more mature,
Ruby,
more on top of her business.
Capable, has skills, whereas they're both Ruby, I think Ruby's meant to be 18, Rose is meant to be 19. And again, that's another comparison with Martha, right? Martha's a medical student. Martha's not long off getting the official title doctor herself.
Yeah.
I quite like a skilled, even Donna, the best temp in Chiswick, I like a skilled companion rather than one who's just wide-eyed and blown away by the doctor. I always am more engaged with those, slightly older, more skilled companions, I guess.
I love when she figures out the mystery in the doctor's daughter. It's kind of silly that the war's been going on for 7 days, but it's cool that she figures it out.
Yeah, the numbers. She's great with numbers. They're counting down.
I skipped over this important thing that happened. The robots that had stopped working had a red X on their face.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like a video game.
Yeah. You go on.
Shit. And the doctor's hair has grown out because he's been there 6 months.
I noticed that. I always wonder about this. I'm like, is that a wig? Did WhoDis hair grow in between seasons? Did they put, which one was the wig? Which one was... Because I always like playing with Matt Smith era because he shaved his head to do the Terminator film. There's a lot of pickups they did and reshoots where he's obviously wearing a wig. And then they wrote it in.
I gotta look for these.
Oh, it's great.
That's
You're just
great.
like, Matt Smith's wearing a wig there. You can spot it. I always wonder about that stuff.
Another moment that I felt was highlighted how the doctor was a little bit out of touch with the concerns of this woman. When he says Manny is good, right after Manny just was super hostile and rude to her.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get we need to know that Manny's a good person, but like, that's a weird way to do it, you know, instead of being like, I'm sorry he was a jerk to you. Like, I'll talk to him. Hopefully he'll behave better, you know.
Yeah, I wonder.
They're in the middle of being bombed, I guess. I don't know.
Is it for her? Is it for, because we, you know, that hostile, I think of like the Age of Steel and when they're in, you know, Pete Tyler's world where there's Ricky and Mickey and it's Ricky's boyfriend, which was actually written as a gay relationship. Even if it got played down, that blonde guy who was real sad when Ricky died is literally could be, there's nothing in there to disprove it. And Russell has said canonically they're in a gay relationship, which is amazing. But there's always kind of those, they're not the companion, they're not the like pseudo companion, which the Sasha 55, they're the hostile, outwardly appearing hostile connection, like in the Doctor's daughter with the general.
Oh, the intransigent base commander.
Yes,
that's what they call him in classic Who.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
Because you've got the, you know, I can't remember what his character name was in the, because he's just always Chris from Skins or Gendry from Game of Thrones to me, but he's the one he's the pseudo companion. You've got, you know, him and Jenny, and they're kind of more leaning towards what the Doctor's trying to show them, and then you've got the resistant wall of the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah, the cute guy that when Donna's like, I got this, and then the Doctor's like, let Jenny handle it.
Yeah. What about my feminine wiles? She's so good. Catherine Tate, Donna Noble, best companion ever, always.
Very, very good. So the doc just kind of takes the certificate, doesn't ask, and it made me think, like, is this how doctors act? And it's like, because she's a nurse, I'm kind of noticing it. There's this real like ownership of the space kind of thing happening here that I've never noticed before with the Doctor. But I'm wondering if it's always been there.
I think there's elements, I think, you know, for example, like there's more of it in those earlier, older Doctors where that it was, you know, character. Like I think at one point that William Hartnell said to one of, was it Susan, he was going to smack her bosher?
To his granddaughter.
Yeah.
You're looking for a jolly good smacked bottom.
Yes, exactly. And so I think there's elements of it. Matt Smith's Doctor does it a lot. He's very like swans in swagger. He's all about that ultimate confidence. Like what's the one thing standing, you know, with the Pandorica Opens, where the one, you know, here I am, I've got no weapons, no nothing. And why doesn't one of, like, before you go ahead, just think about every dark day I stopped you and do the smart thing and let someone else try first. That level of arrogance that came with it, and I think that's part of why I don't particularly enjoy the Matt Smith Doctor as much as I do some other incarnations. Controversial opinion, I know. But
arrogance, arrogance is interesting.
I think it's something Shooty's Doctor lacks last season, but maybe we'll see more of this season.
I mean, unless she keeps correcting that. Like, I feel like nobody, because Ruby was 19, like she's not able to critique him. Or she doesn't know what good male behavior looks like.
Well, yeah, especially, you know, raised by a single mom, too. So she's very... I think we'll definitely see, like, it's that contrast where she's like, wait, no, I'm not going to stand for this. That's where she does give, the Tegan vibes where...
Oh, God. Tegan was so good at that.
Mm.
Man, Tegan gets better on a rewatch, too. Like she has some very good points.
And I love it. Janet Fielding brought that back so well in The Power of the Doctor. And she's not going with Ace to chase the Doctor. She's like, nah, I'm staying here with Kate and helping out at unit. And she's always gone her own way, Tegan. And I love that. I love that particularly for an Australian character, I must say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard Australians whack philosophic about good old Tegan Javanka. There's this moment where she says, so is this your job? Are you some kind of time detective? I love that. A time detective. And he's like, no.
But also,
kind of?
Yeah. And I thought it showed restraint for them to not just then immediately go, not time detective, time lord, because that's what I was expecting. The fact that he didn't.
Yeah.
I liked that. I like that.
I feel like that would have been in poor taste amidst the rabble underground during a battle, like, remember how much Danny Pink didn't like that side of him, the officer?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The fancy boy, prep school lad.
And also the whole, you're criticizing me for being a soldier, but what are you? Like that. Oh, God, I love Danny Pink. Such a great, heartbreaking, brilliant, amazing. Every second of it. I love Danny Pink. So good. And I don't like Clara. So there you go.
Clara is a lot to handle.
They never settled on a really good personality for her. She was just kind of... She would... You didn't know. I don't know. I still don't know who she is. I don't like it when they get too bossy with the Doctor and don't listen. That's one of my arguments with Amy as well. I just enjoy it. Whereas,
yeah, it's like they act like the Doctor, but guess what? The Doctor can't die.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. So that's why I think Moffat had to smack her down at the end.
Yeah, it's very true.
You're not a Gallifreyan. That's just not the deal.
No, Clara's my least favorite of the modern companions. But
so the music during the bombardment is so intense. And then Manny's giving her the business. And I think they added this after the fact where he says, this is all your fault, Queen Belinda. But it's ADR. He's not on the screen. And I felt like that was gilding the lily a bit. He already gave her shit for being a queen. I don't know. And they're trying to tell us he's good. Then why are we making him seem like such an unrepentant asshole?
It's true. It's challenging.
She turns the robot back on, the beeps and boops. She gets them caught. So I was thinking in a real world situation, those folks would all go to camps.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be a wrap on that revolution. But thankfully these robots care what she thinks for some reason.
Well, is it maybe because the Alan's influence is ended? It frees them up more, maybe. I think it all happened too quickly enough to have to deal with, I guess, long-term repercussions for the rebels, and it ended well. It ended nicely. We got a happy-ish ending, despite the fact a lot of people died.
So we talked about Once I'm Part of the Machine, Belinda, Beloved, Behold. Any other stories where the robot turns out to be a guy? I mentioned Paradise Towers, but the only other one I could think of is the three criminal brothers in that Clara episode where they convinced one of the brothers that he's an android or something.
Yeah, but he actually just had a robotic arm. Oh, the Husbands of River song where all the different heads of Hydroflax and then Nardo and Ramon all live within the body of Hydroflax and can pop up out, and they're the maitre d' at the restaurant at the Beryllium Towers. Like that, there's an element of that because then it keeps those characters alive, and then they just magic Nardo's back out of it next season with Bill. Fine.
They never explained. He just got an android body somewhere.
Yeah, he's you just assume the doctor kind of rescued him in some way. But
okay, so he says he got sucked away by a Stargate or whatever is a bad joke, which works for his character. But surely his parents would have freaked out when he disappeared with a giant Kool-Aid manhole in his wall. You'd think that would have made bigger news.
Yeah, everyone just thought he moved to Margate.
Maybe the MI6 came in and was like, just tell him he went to Margate.
Yeah, Unit. Could have been Unit. Or even Torchwood at that time, because that would have been pre the Battle of Canary Wharf, so Torchwood would have been active at that point. Not in the incarnation.
10 years ago was 2015. That would have been Capaldi?
Yeah, or maybe. But if it was I suppose when they took him it was 10, because it was 17 years ago when he gave her the certificate, then 10 years ago when they went back to take him. Yeah, so maybe not. Well, it could have still been Jack's Torchwood, like Torchwood still rocking around at that point.
Oh, okay. Can you believe I've never seen it?
You're missing out. It's so good.
All right,
those first two seasons run concurrently and have crossover with the Martha and Donna seasons. Because
that's fun.
There's Voight Saxon pamphlets in the background of the first episode of Torchwood.
Wow.
So it's kind of following what happens with Jack post, and then Utopia happens in between seasons 1 and 2 of Torchwood. So at the very end of season 1 of Torchwood, Jack runs because he's always waiting for the right doctor is the reference that he makes. And and that's the point where he runs and jumps on the back of the TARDIS, and the TARDIS tries to throw him off, and they go to the end of the universe, which is where they meet Dr. Yana, who turns out to be the Master.
Yeah.
So that
Utopia,
all directly,
whatever.
And the Last of the Time Lords and the Sound of Drums, that all happens canonically between the end of season 1 of Torchwood feeds directly into that opening scene from Utopia, and the end scene where he walks off and decides to go back to his little group directly feeds into the first episode of season 2 of Torchwood. So
that's cool.
And Martha turns up at some point, just saying. No, you're a Martha fan, so.
Hell yeah. Okay, so we get a flashback of him getting sucked away by the robots.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, it's like a game. I can just do whatever I want. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's like a game until you meet your first person. And then you're like, oh, you have to breathe and eat and shit or whatever. I guess I can't just go around blowing things up. And one of his acts right after getting hooked up to the machine is to kill a guy.
But I think that's also indicative of his character and a lack of compassion for humanity as a whole, as long as he's getting what he wants. I think that feeds into that same kind of character he's presenting, Planet of the Incels.
Okay, so there we get our first RTD sort of not quite right and a bit on the nose thing that he likes to do. There's one a little bit later. Like binary, non-binary, that whole thing from Star Beast. But it says pretty much everything we need to know about her feelings about this. She says, you've taken coercive control and made it complete control of the whole planet.
Oh my God, you've taken coercive control and made it complete control of the whole planet. How can you live with yourself?
That's the point. You can.
Do we need it spelled out that directly? Do
Yes.
you think? Like, or is that for the kids?
No, I have an argument for this because I was watching the episode last night with my friend who never watches Doctor Who, has never watched Doctor Who, and she really laughed at the Planet of the Incels reference. And so I
Good.
think it's
somebody.
not on the nose to people who don't know Russell's writing style, who haven't read all the comments and the complaints that people make about Russell and Doctor Who going woke, which never, they were woke in the 60s. John Pertwee's Doctor referenced global warming. It has always been woke. But I don't think of woke as a bad thing, by the way.
Good, because you'd be
Just
on
to
the
be
wrong
clear.
show otherwise.
Yeah. No, but you know how it's kind of become this thing where it's almost like subverted anyway.
I mean, leave it to black people to take enlightened, which is too many syllables, and bring it down to one nice, handy syllable that we should all be able to agree on. And then the right goes, no, it's evil. Like,
Yep.
Give me a fucking break.
Oh, 1,000%.
And don't get me started on virtue signaling.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I think part of it too is that incel is transitioning from a word that just meant somebody you can't get a girlfriend or can't get laid because they're ugly or have a bad personality or whatever. It has evolved to include the whole manosphere, the game, the fucking red pill, black pill,
masculinity,
all that bullshit.
like
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So I think it works. Yeah.
It's very yeah, I liked that line. I didn't, but I'm also all for sometimes like let's get the messaging in there.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah.
So things that I've certainly seen lots of complaints about, I'm, that perhaps are on the nose for Russell. I quite like it. I'm all right with it. I think it's good to have it in there. Like the doctor crying all the time. Like I like that showing sensitivity.
Yeah.
That's a very personal.
The dry ice is going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, this guy wants her to hold the diploma. And I don't know why they're calling it a diploma. Is diploma and certificate like interchangeable?
I didn't think so. I would have, for me, I associate the term diploma with earning some sort of academic credit.
Yeah.
For me, it's a certificate. I find the use of diploma weird. But again, that might be Australian language can have it's very British influenced, but occasionally also very heavily American influenced as well. So it does have, sometimes we chop and change, like the whole chips and chips thing. But
so we get to how they get their victory. What did you think of this whole sequence of the scooter bot bringing the diploma, I guess we'll call it?
Well, first I have to comment on a fashion choice. As an Australian, I have to call out that I love that she was wearing Ugg boots because those are generic here. It's the Ugg company.
I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
Ugg boots.
I was so happy to when I saw her walking along in there because that would be me. I would absolutely, at least she got kidnapped with her slippers. That's better than having it on the bare feet. She was in bed when it all kicked off. She could have very easily been running around the whole episode with no shoes. So having her in her Ugg boots was great, and I loved it. It's in my notes. Absolutely love it. And
that brings us to my favorite part of the episode, which is that sci-fi, psychedelic, trippy bullshit.
Yeah.
It got even David Lynchy at some point, screaming.
When he pulls her back.
All that.
And so the connection I really made through that sequence was the way they exchanged mental history in the way that the doctor sometimes does. And it was very lightly touched on, but he's like, oh, we know each other now. I know I've been with you your whole life. And it's the same in The Girl in the Fireplace with Madame de Pompadour, when he walks around in her mind to see why they're scanning it. And a door once opened can be walked through in either directions.
Yeah, she gets this insight into him. I don't feel like Belinda came forward with that, though. Like, she didn't go, hey, I learned this about you.
And she didn't know the TARDIS was bigger on the inside, and the Doctor did say, he's like, oh, so some secrets still then. So I don't think we're sure about how much Belinda...
So maybe the word TARDIS and it being bigger on the inside bled into her during that weird trippy time thingy.
Did you notice the shot of her aged in that sequence?
Yeah.
There's a flash of Belinda as a much, much, much older woman. And there's no context for it. There's no explanation for it.
I think they're doing the same thing for Alan as well.
But he went backwards.
There's this moment where somebody's upside down waving at the camera behind Alan's changing face. It's like they made them all go inside each other's minds.
And maybe because Alan went backwards and wound up finishing as a sperm and an egg. A little polish saves the day. But
I don't buy the physics of that. He was up in the chair. All of a sudden, he's now down on the ground. Come on. That doesn't wash.
I mean, if he just turned into a very small amount of liquid, maybe.
It's like he dribbled down Dalek style down the stairs.
Yes. Exactly. So I don't know whether there is I think there's more we're going to find out that has been teased in this episode.
Yeah. Maybe she'll get some more memories. Maybe she'll be like, Mavity?
Well, we have no explanation of Mavity at this point. It's just been thrown in and continually referenced. They're always calling it back.
So we got to talk about them laughing at his death. She's got her hand over her face, like, clearly trying not to laugh, and he just goes for it. He is loving it, and it seemed out of character for the Doctor to exult over someone's death, but also this guy was Space Hitler, so that goes back to the guns thing as well. Like, this Doctor is doing things that I don't associate with the Doctor, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that. I guess I'll wait until the end of the season. But have you seen Colin Baker's Doctor?
I have, but my memory of it's not great. So
it's very similar to me. The gun stuff and the heartlessness at death. Unless it's someone he cares about, like in this episode.
Yeah, he's very... Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't think that's how he was in the first season with Ruby.
No.
This is very different.
It's changed.
Is it the loss of Ruby? Like, he was so badly hurt by that, and her choosing not to go with him. He's like grieving in almost like a Rose level, even though he's going to get to hang out with Ruby again. We know this. It doesn't have that same, how much is the loss of the first face that this face knew kind of friendship.
And I think this is a function of having an 8-episode season and a 9 last season, is how much time passed between them, how much has the Doctor suffered, how many companions has he had in the in-between time? Like, if we go with Big Finish, like, who knows what's been going on?
Absolutely.
Oh, and that's when I noticed he does that, like, kick, but his foot is pointed right at her. I didn't like that. I think if you're going to show the bottom of your foot to somebody, it should be to the side. I don't know why. That's just me thing, I guess. So the last scene, I was talking about how they're like not in a set. They're in like the effects wall.
Yeah, on the bridge.
So we can see that beautiful city and those cool forest fields and everything. But the setup, the blocking of all those people squished together near the door. And there's this extra sort of tilting his head so he can get into the shot. And I'm like, that's my guy. That's me in this episode.
Oh, that's funny.
So we talked about her. She knows it's called the TARDIS. I love when he goes, "She is everything." Like, that's a real mood.
Definitely.
He's acting kind of like a middle schooler. Like, he's so bouncy and like childlike.
I like that about Shooty's Doctor just in general. But it's very challenging for I think it's going to be contrasting to Belinda's more older, tougher kind of vibe.
Yeah. Oh, her goodbye words to them. I had this thought. I'm going to soundbite it in here. She says, "Thank you and good luck." And I was thinking those would be great words to say goodbye to the Doctor when she leaves the show.
I like that.
Like,
Right into Russell T Davies.
Yeah.
Tell him.
I'll get in my time machine, go back a couple years.
Yeah.
Hey, have you finished the finale? Make sure she says this.
Yeah. How stoked are you going to be if he does, though?
Oh, I'm going to start telling old TV shows all kinds of stuff. See if things change.
Thank you. Good luck.
Final scene.
She is startled by finding out it's a time machine, which I feel like she should have grasped, considering he left. Well, she might have chalked it up to the time fracture, how he found her, but then.
And he was stuck there for 6 months beforehand as well. So because the robots impounded the TARDIS. So that's why he was stuck there. He couldn't just jump forward. And so he had to infiltrate another way through the rebels and become the historian.
I think him telling her it's a time machine is kind of like the prelude in a normal situation to, I can get you to your work right on time whenever you want at any point. And she didn't go for it. She didn't fall for it.
No, she was like, no, take me home. You go and you solve your mystery after you've taken me home.
Oh, that was a great moment. Yeah. Home. She's counting them on her fingers. So yeah, at minute 41, she says, "You're dangerous."
Is that what you said to Sasha? She trusted you, and she died. You tested my DNA without even asking my permission. God. You're dangerous.
And I noticed he's not used to apologizing. He's kind of just going through the motions. For a guy that's so good, it's weird that they decided the Doctor could never like apologize. It's odd.
Yeah, the arrogance of a Time Lord, though, right? Like, they're all a bit like that. And that's kind of cultural for them.
Interesting.
I think that gets referenced a lot, like the reaction of other species to Time Lords in general, and they're just like, nah. They're arrogant. They
don't do politeness.
No, never have.
And she's the opposite. She's like, either by inclination or training, is like empathetic and checking in with people.
Seeking consent before touching their genetics. Yep.
Oh my God. When he ran that another time where he's putting something in her face, it's not his finger this time, it's the sonic screwdriver, but it still like felt icky to me. And then she called it out. I love that moment where he's trying to get it started and it won't work. And she's like, "Is that it? Do we just kind of bounce our way back home?"
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And she said to him, "Is that what you say to all the girls?"
Ooh.
Which is...
He kind of didn't know how to answer.
Because he kind of, that is kind of is what he says to all the girls. It's the same thing. That was very Donna, because in The Runaway Bride, she's like, "Whose jacket is this? You kidnap all sorts of women, don't you?"
Yes. Oh my God. Folks, go back to the first episode of Doctor Who. He kidnaps 2 school teachers.
Exactly. Exactly. There's plenty that come along that weren't really, that just kind of got dragged along by the arrogance of the Time Lord.
I love that moment where she looks out the TARDIS and they're in space. She goes, "Oh my God, we're in space."
Oh my God, we're in space.
Yeah, I mean, they all do that, really, don't they? Like, they've always a moment where they're looking out into space, and the one where Amy's hanging out by her feet.
That's, my favorite moment is when she gets to look out and see space for the first time.
So good.
I can't remember if it's in The 11th Hour or The Beast Below.
Ooh. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I tend to watch them, like, in big blocks of several episodes. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's weird seeing the Doctor not know a thing. Right? He keeps going like, I don't know.
But that's very true to the old, like, classic. There's a lot of time in the classic where it's certainly implied that the Doctor doesn't really have much control of the TARDIS. And then it cycles through periods where he's obviously more competent in managing it and running it. And then otherwise it's just the TARDIS takes him wherever the TARDIS thinks he should be. So.
And to me, this is the kind of big swing that they would do in the classic series to, like, they got rid of K9 or they take away the sonic screwdriver. Like, this is kind of a throwback, and then it's going back to before the Fifth Doctor or the Fourth Doctor when he couldn't control it.
Yeah.
Or I guess Pertwee could once
he got off Earth.
Control back. Yeah. Once the Time Lords let him go.
Yeah.
Oh, he calls her Miss again, even after all of that. He should know better, and he still does. Right near the end.
Interesting.
And the last thing we see is some stuff swirling around in space.
The destruction of Earth, really, because there's the Eiffel Tower. There's what looks like an old New York or an old maybe London cab. There's also the calendar, which has May 24th circled, which is when I think it's the 7th episode is due to air.
Yeah.
Which is going to be the beginning of what is being speculated to be a 2-parter finale.
And there's like part of a building, Statue of Liberty, and the star certificate back in its frame, unbroken.
Without the ripped corner.
What I think this is window dressing of our God of Storytelling. Just kind of, these are the themes we're going to touch on in this season.
Interesting.
So, Earth history with the Eiffel Tower, maybe the Statue of Liberty, the cab. These are old things, but also like monuments.
Iconography.
Iconography. Yeah.
These are things you associate with, like if it's a London cab, like those cabs still get around.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're quite, definitive images that represent certain places. So what that means, we don't know. My first thought is, I'm like, oh, did the Flux catch up with him? Like, what's going on here? This is very the Flux.
I think if the Earth really had been destroyed, the Doctor would have seen it and then, like, I don't know, turned the TARDIS 90 degrees so she couldn't see it. But I don't think he saw any of that stuff.
No,
which
I don't think so.
Tells me it's for our benefit,
yes,
not
agreed.
His.
And that's particularly the calendar with the May 24th.
Okay, so let me go back to my pins. We had one called Climax Pin. Did we miss anything from the climax?
No, the main thing I wanted to was that old ladiness, the old lady picture, the aged Belinda after the Doctor pulls her out, that one thing, and whether that's foretell. Obviously, it probably is, but it's leading into.
Does it mean she'll live a long life? Because Alan certainly didn't, as far as we know.
Maybe. Or is she gonna like super age, or the Doctor will disappear for ages and come back to her old, like what would have been the better end for Clara if they'd just done it off the end of that Christmas special, where with the space, the dream crabs, and the Doctor comes back and she's aged, and what they've been living is a dream of her young. I think it would have been a better end for Clara, and I think they just convinced Jenna to come back, so they put the extra scene in where it turned out it was a dream and she was still young. That's a perfect way to end Clara and Doctor's arc, I thought. Like, through everything, she's aged and he's not come back because they were living in this dream. And then by the time he gets back to her, she has aged. So maybe that would be cool.
I mean, we don't need to talk about Stephen Moffat, but I think that was a classic case of him changing his mind at the last minute, kind of, or like this is what they expect. Let's do the opposite, which I don't love. I would love to see the Doctor still checking in with his elderly friends, right? He has claimed in the past that he doesn't like to do that he doesn't, and we get the sense that he doesn't want to see death.
That's why they've got the therapy group that Graham started, though, right?
And now that the Doctor has clearly had some therapy and is more in touch with his emotions, maybe he'll check in with elderly Belinda.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it happened with Sarah Jane.
Yes. Oh, Sarah Jane. Sarah.
Oh, so good.
Oh, Sarah.
I love her. It's amazing, like, bringing... I think it's really going to be tough for them to... I don't know, are they, do we sometimes feel like they're hitting on the same points over and over again because they've run out of stories to tell, or ways this can end? Or is it just because it's, certain tropes are good because they're good? They used a lot because they're good.
Well, I think never seeing his friends when they're old was a production problem because they knew they couldn't get all the cast back, and it would be weird if you just saw one without the other, or like, and families are too expensive because you got to pay these parts because they speak. Like old age makeup was trash until very recently. I think now CGI does it better. Yeah.
Well, just writing in an excuse, like when Jodie, in The Power of the Doctor, when Jodie was at the light pole and, you had all the old doctors, and some of them have aged not great.
Oh, they're old men. Like, yeah. Paul McGann still looks hot as hell.
Yes, please. Hotter even than his time as the Doctor, arguably.
Oh, my God. Folks, if you love Doctor Who and you haven't listened to Big Finish, I highly recommend at least the first season of Paul McGann audios.
No shit.
It's just the one banger after the other. They're free on most music streaming services. The first 50 Doctor Who episodes, they're called the monthly range.
I'll have to check that out because it's the cost point is the more off-putting thing, I think, with Big Finish.
Yes, I mean, they've probably gotten more expensive. Plus, they put out so many. It's hard to know, which is worth your money or time. Yeah, I've known people that just have stopped buying them altogether, like in fury.
I think it was what puts me off of buying them at all. So I should
check out the free ones.
Yeah, that's
on
great.
Spotify,
that's a great tip.
Apple Music. Any more predictions for the rest of the season?
Oh, I love a theory, but I'm super into finding out what the hell is up with Mrs. Flood.
Yes. And I want a master. I want whoever picked up that tooth in the giggle.
Apparently she had a gold tooth in the episode. I didn't notice this. I saw it online somewhere. But there is a point where Mrs. Flood has a gold tooth.
Oh, my God. Well,
and it was a female hand with red nails that a lot of people think was Kate Stewart. But It was definitely a female hand, so
It's got to be somebody that could get onto that roof without being noticed. So that suggests godlike powers, or I don't know, a master of disguise, possibly.
they could go down either a path of someone we don't know or someone that's just such a big callback like Sutek was. Or they could go down the path of more
I mean, who's the biggest villain that they've added that's like memorable, that keeps coming back? I mean, other than the Master and Davros, I can't think of one.
I mean, there's groups of villains like Cybermen, the Weeping Angels.
The Weeping Angels are probably the newest.
Yeah, they would.
And they came back. They came back in Chibnall's time. They're due for a return. I mean, the problem is there's too many great classic monsters for 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to keep things fresh and like new and.
Yeah, and I don't. They've got, and then there's all the licensing restrictions and stuff like that as well. Like that's why the Daleks are always sparingly used, because of all of the heated negotiation with the Terry Nation estate. Like it's.
Yeah.
I like that we don't know. I like that we don't have ideas. Nothing worse than having a theory and it being correct. I get really annoyed. I get so annoyed. I'm like, I predicted this. Piss off, you're not doing a good enough job there.
I don't think anybody predicted Sutek. I mean, that was a bananas decision. The like not real anagrams, like, yeah. He
red herring anagrams there, but
boy, it made an impact.
Yeah, people talked about it. People got opinions. So
I bring you the gift of death. Well, so we don't have any predictions really.
No.
What do we normally do here at the end? I guess I ask you if you'd be interested in returning at some point.
Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
This has been a lot of fun.
Rose. Good, yes. Good. I'm thinking about doing Rose with my friend AJ from Shattered Worlds RPG. And you're welcome to sit in on that one. And then great. If you want, every week, that can be a little much for some people, but my Fridays are free, or Saturdays, if you want to keep talking about this current season.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good.
We'll talk about that off air. Recommendations. Do you have anything you love, you think people should get into? You mentioned the BBC Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, that's a classic from the 90s. It's just brilliantly well done, and it's a lot of I've got a lot of nostalgia for it as well. Outlander.
Outlander?
Absolutely love Outlander. There's a time travel element. I only watched it because it's my favorite trope. Anything with time travel in it, I'll watch.
Then I have a podcast for you when you're done with your recs.
Oh, my recommendations. Yeah, I guess those would be the main ones. Go see, just if you haven't seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or Everything Everywhere All at Once, go watch those films. They're phenomenal.
I bought Everything Everywhere. It's so good. I saw a great Hot Dog Fingers cosplay the other day.
I have a tattoo that is a combination of Ted Lasso and Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a goldfish swimming past 2 rocks with googly eyes, and around it says, "Be curious, be kind, be a goldfish, be a rock."
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I didn't mention I have Doctor Who tattoos as well. I've got a big TARDIS on my leg, and on my ankle I have the word Allons-y with a plane taking off from the end.
Oh, man. Folks, you are going to get access to this font of Doctor Who wisdom and history. This is exciting.
Absolutely.
So my recommendation is, it's called Oh Boy, a time travel podcast.
Okay.
Excuse me. It started as a new Quantum Leap podcast, which, if you didn't know, was a pretty good show.
I love
it
Quantum
lasted
Leap.
2 seasons. And God, Raymond Lee is a really great actor. That's a great show. But it ended, and so they transitioned to a time travel podcast.
Cool.
And oh man, they've talked about all kinds of great stuff. I don't know if they've got to 12 Monkeys yet, but they did La Jetée. Have you seen
Monkeys. No, but I love 12 Monkeys.
that? 12 Monkeys rules.
Oh, and The Time Traveler's Wife, like, which particularly because Stephen Moffat wrote the series and he wrote the character.
Oh.
Yeah, the TV series, not the movie with Eric Banner, but the TV series spin-off.
I do not like that movie.
You might not like the show then, but it's Moffat, and he very much writes it in that. I'm like the same guy who wrote the story of the Doctor and River song. It's very much meeting in different order, very that kind of. I really like, but again, that's just me. Oh, and About Time. Richard Curtis, Bill Nye, Domhnall Gleeson, phenomenal. I just watched it because it was time travel, and I didn't even realize it was Richard Curtis at the time until Bill Nye turned up, and I'm like, this must be Richard Curtis then, because it's like the law. He has to be in everything that Richard Curtis makes. But it's so good and so fun, and yeah, if you don't know, it's just about a guy who finds out when he turns 21 that all the men in his family can time travel back to different points in their life, and how that impacts his future when every time he goes back he changes something. So that's another good Ray.
So this is pretty crazy, but that is the film they reviewed in their last episode.
Wow.
Most recent.
All right, I'll go back and listen. That's a good place to jump off of.
Yeah, and I can finally watch it.
Definitely watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't give it a try. Maybe, I don't know. You know, sometimes you're like, I don't like the look of that one, even though it makes no sense, and you see it years later and it's great.
Yeah, that one, I mean, it is a Richard Curtis, so it has that softer romantic comedy kind of energy to it, but it's very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Domhnall Gleeson's great at everything.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's...
I don't know if I've seen him in anything else.
He's Brendan Gleeson's son.
He's in Star Wars: The First Order.
He's also Bill Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. His dad is Brendan Gleeson from In Bruges.
I just watched the one where he's the general with Tom Cruise and what's her name? Elizabeth something Brooks, maybe?
I'm not sure.
They're soldiers. Death Till Tomorrow. The Edge of Tomorrow. The
Edge of Tomorrow.
Also called Live, Die, Repeat. Anyway, he's in that. He's also in this weird Stephen King miniseries or series called Mr. Mercedes. He was really good. That show's kind of not great, but he was good.
Awesome.
Well, I think we've done about as much as we can do in 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, we've done pretty well. Like yeah, it's been great. It's been so much fun, like just bouncing around and like shit, yuck. I'll talk about Doctor Who for hours.
This is great. How do people find you if you want them to?
Yeah, so I'm on more on Blue Sky than Twitter these days. But everywhere I'm Cosmic Cowgirl, KOSMICCOWGIRL, Cosmic Cowgirl, but starting with a K.
Yes, that's a great handle. I'm on everything at El Jefe Tacoma. We have a Facebook page. I should have all the social medias, but man, I am not good at dealing with them.
I just mostly stick to Blue Sky these days because it's just a more wholesome environment. I like it.
Yes, it is so much more wholesome. Man, Twitter went right down the shitter.
Oh yeah. No, it's like everyone who was nice on the early days of Twitter has just kind of gone, you guys can stay there and we'll go be over here and we're just all going to be nice to each other over here and you guys can stay in that dumpster fire.
It's funny. Some of my favorite Doctor Who podcasters are still on Twitter. And like, I wonder when they're going to finally exodus or if they're just going to stay on that Titanic as it goes down.
Well, we've got hashtags on Blue Sky now. Like, I only stayed on Twitter because I'm obsessed with Australian Survivor. And I love live watching the episodes and live tweeting them. And I've built quite the community on Twitter. And so I would keep my account just to go back. And this season, now we have hashtags on Blue Sky. Heaps of us have all moved over to there, and it's just lovely. So it's just nice. People are less hateful and more accountable and just kind. So
hell yeah. Well, folks, if you want to get in touch with us, send an email to greatandsecretknowledge@gmail.com. Go listen back to all our previous episodes. We cover movies, TV shows, books. So many wonderful guests. And Sophia and I have started covering Star Trek: The Next Generation. So far, she hasn't turned it off in disgust. So hopefully that continues. I think that'll do it. I'm thinking it'd be fun to end with a little soundbite. It won't be "You Killed the Cat." Her face falls. Yeah, maybe "Thank You and Good Luck," or "Oh My God, We're in Space."
Oh my God, we're in space. I like that.
Yes.
Oh my God, we're in. Or MI6.
Oh, that's a good one.
Timey-wimey, MI6.
Right.
I love that.
You know that's how tons of people felt when they first heard the phrase timey-wimey.
Oh, I love it. Wibbly
Was
wobbly.
that in Blink?
Blink, yeah. Most
Yeah.
people think it's in the Easter eggs. Most people think time is a linear construct, but it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff. And referenced in the 50th anniversary, of course, when the War Doctor hears timey-wimey, where does he... David Tennant's like, I don't know where he gets this stuff from. When it was actually him. Pretty good.
Oh, Doctor, you scamp.
Isn't he just? Cool.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Jessie, for coming on the air and expressing all your Doctor Who love. And
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is great.
Awesome.
Sleep well, everyone. Or not if you're driving.
Probably a good idea.
Stay awake. All right, that's it.
Awesome.
Oh my God, we're in space.
A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Claire. That's what we call the robot. But her voice sounds different on the app itself rather than in the browser. It's weird.
That's funny. I used to call my GPS Dr. Girlfriend because it was a nav man, but it had a female voice, so it was the reverse of Dr. Girlfriend from the Venture Brothers. It was my logic. Oh, good. I went through and listened to a few of your episodes. Like the Wizard of Oz one was my favorite.
Which one?
The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, my favorite movie.
I have a giant ruby slippers tattoo on my ribs. Hold on.
Holy smokes. That is beautiful.
Judy Garland is one of my heroes, and The Wizard of Oz is one of my all-time favorite movies. So.
Hell yeah. You know who else loves The Wizard of Oz?
Mm-hmm.
David Lynch. He loves that Wizard of Oz.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In a weird way, that makes sense. It's anything to do with Oz lore I love. Like I'm a big wicked girly and Return to Oz, of course.
So
Classic.
scary. I started to watch that the other day. I got too scared and turned it off.
Was it the Wheelers?
Those fucking Wheelers. They are just too scary. My God.
The opening scene was always when Dorothy's trying to escape the mental hospital and they're going to give her electroshock. Like that whole, this is not the Wizard of Oz of my childhood, but it was in a way. Like, I loved it. I think it all, anything Oz related I love. I've read most of the books, so it's a good time.
Hell yeah. I read all the ones I could find at the library at my I got stuck between public and elementary school. My public elementary school. But yeah, I love those books. I recently read the original and then Return to Oz. The second half of the original is bananas. It's like, she's not leaving? Why is she going to the south? What's going on down here? What are all these weird animals? It's like Dante's Inferno down there. I don't know why she went there.
Oh, for sure. Like the weird ones with the four legs and the head, or they were squat in some way. And
it was like Gulliver's
who knew there
Travels.
was a good witch of the south? Who knew? And she was actually Glinda.
Dorothy becomes a princess, or is it Ozma?
Yeah. Queen. Because they bring in Ozma, who's such an interesting. I've got a comic book which is Ozma of Oz.
Ooh. Ozma of Oz comic. Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to GPSs.
Yeah.
We called ours Karen. And I can't remember if this was before Karen became a thing or just after. I feel like it was before. Coincidentally, apropos of nothing, it's also my sister-in-law's name. So
I have a cousin, Karen. I get you. It's
poor Karens. They got a raw deal.
And she's a police officer as well, no! So it's like, double down.
Oh man. What's it like having a, you know what? Maybe we should just focus on Doctor.
You got two ADHD people here bouncing from special interest to special interest. It's fun.
I'm still blown away that you listened to more than one episode. That's fantastic. We got to look this up, folks. Sorry. Yeah. We're stopping down the show. I'll cut this part out. Name of robot husband river song. I love a wet Jody.